In this tutorial, we will learn how to use Photoshop's selection tools. Use File, Open to find a document that has some geometric shapes in it. These are in the Year 7 drive in ICT. "2D Shapes Geometric" is the file you're looking for. I'm going to zoom this to 100% so we can fully see what's going on. Photoshop has a number of different tools for selecting things on the screen. The simplest of these is the rectangular marquee tool. This allows you to drag a box around any shape that you wish. For example, the square here and the rectangle can both be taken using the rectangular marquee tool. If you want to select more than one shape at a time, you can use the Shift key on your keyboard. Notice a plus appearing next to the cursor, and I can highlight the square and the rectangle simultaneously. This could be used, for example, to delete both of these. However, I'm going to undo to bring that back. In addition to the rectangular marquee, we also have an elliptical marquee tool. This will make round shapes. For example, if I start up where the approximate corner of the oval would be, I can drag and highlight this light blue shape. An alternative to dragging from the corner is to use the Alt key. If I hold down the Alt key to start with, and then drag from the middle of this circle, it will drag out the way from the center, allowing it much easier selection of the circle. Although I let go the mouse there, so I've messed up my selection. Try that again. And there we have it. We can, once a selection has been made, move it around, and this doesn't move the contents, but only the actual dotted lines. Once a selection has been made, holding the Alt key down with a previous selection will turn into a subtraction. So to make this crescent shape here, I could start off with an approximate circle. And then holding down the Alt key to subtract, I could remove another circle from that. And we get an approximate crescent shape. This can also be used with the rectangular marquee. So for example, I can highlight part of a selection and then use the Alt key to take off a corner. And this could be used to, for example, make this cross shape by first of all selecting a bounding square and then using Alt to remove each corner. And now we have just the cross selected. If you don't want to have round or rectangular shapes, we do have other options available. For example, the lasso tool. The lasso tool lets us carefully drag around a particular shape. So for example, the heart here, I would trace around using my mouse very carefully. But notice I have some extra white space collected in the selection here. For a better fit, I could use the magnetic lasso tool. The magnetic lasso tool will attempt to snap to the edge of a shape. So if I try the arrow here, for example, I can click and then slowly drag along to the corner. And notice that it is putting in some points for me and trying to cling to the edges of the shape. You can choose to click yourself to set specific corners or just move around the shape carefully And you will get most of the shape selected, although there may be the odd point which doesn't come out very well. Trying that on the heart, I can click and then carefully trace around the shape. As long as I don't go too far away from the main outline, I should have a reasonably good selection using the magnetic lasso. An alternative is the polygon lasso, and this lets you click at corners. So for the star here, I could click at each corner of the star, and it will use straight line sections between clicks in order to pick up the rest of the shape. So the star is picked up like so. A final way of choosing things is to use the magic wand tool, although the quick selection tool I will come to in another tutorial. The magic wand tool is very good at picking up things which are a similar color. It has a tolerance here. If I set this quite low, usually it starts out about 32, and click on inside the circle, it picks up all of the red. If I had set a higher tolerance, perhaps 60, and click inside this shape, it will also pick up the different red outline. And it will do this for whichever color you want. So purples here, picks up purples. It's not quite got the outline there, so if I change this up to maybe 100, try green, taking the light green and the dark green as well, taking the light purple and the dark purple. There's also a selection menu which can be used to pick up similar and related shapes. So with this purple chosen, I can go to select and similar, and it's picked up other shapes which look purplish. This is based on this tolerance of 100. If I take my tolerance down, let's say to 32 again, and start off and choose a blue crescent, it hasn't taken the darker blue outline. If I go to select and similar, it's picked up the other oval which is the same color. If I want to take other parts, and you can see perhaps some tiny parts of the heart have been chosen here. If I give it a much higher tolerance of say 70, and then select similar, then notice it has also picked up the other blue shapes, but also little parts of the purple. The select menu also has other options. So we'll go back to a tolerance of 32 and to take the mustard square. And if I go to select and modify, there are various different ways that we can change the way the shape has been chosen. For example, border. If I put a border in of maybe 6 pixels, then you see I would be able to repaint in this outline using the brush tool, and I wouldn't have to worry about painting any other parts. So if I choose perhaps dark yellow and then paint, and I can quite happily paint away here without worrying about going over the edges, because the selection is confined to this border. When I'm finished, select, deselect, and I have changed my shape. I can also make choices based on particular colors. So we noticed earlier we had blue. I can go to select and color range. I have an eyedropper tool, and I'm going to pick up blue here. And the color range is showing the selection from the image. I can change the fuzziness to change what gets selected. A very low fuzziness will take only the same color, and the higher you go, the more you get into similar shades which are not quite the same. So to take just blue things, I would be looking to have perhaps around here. Localize cluster colors will make sure it takes them just from shapes that are nearby. Another thing we have available is the ability to load and save selections. So if I wanted to choose every shape that was rounded, I could start off with the magic wand tool. I can have my crescent shape here selected. I can use Shift to add the circle and the oval and the heart. And then I can go to Select, Save Selection, and call these round shapes. Separately from this, I could, again, using the magic wand, I can pick up the star, and with the Shift key, the arrow, and perhaps the crescent, and save these as spiky shapes. And now, if I deselect, I can quickly reload those using Select, Load Selection, and choosing spiky shapes, for example. And we see they have come instantly back in. Another useful tool sometimes is to invert the selection. So if I wanted everything except the spiky shapes chosen, I can go to Select and Inverse, and now it has picked up everything except those shapes. So if I press the Delete key, only those shapes would be left. Again, I'll undo that. Hopefully this has been a useful introduction to how to use selection within Photoshop.